Hey, Justin.
What's up, Mad Dog?
Not much. You want to hear some epic music?
Sure.
Hey, this is Atari Man, and you're listening to Two Dudes and a NES. Man, I love this show about as much as I love when Michael buys something off me. If I could just find a copy of Wrecking Crew.
That's from Contra, of course.
Yeah.
You know, well, before we get into it, real quick, we do have a guest. Again.
Yeah?
But this guest is pretty unique, to us at least. This guy's actually beat the game without the Konami Code, which is quite the feat. We have Nick Stevens from the NES Podcast with us.
Woohoo! Hello, everybody. Hey, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
Well, the honor is all ours. All right. Anyways, we're talking about Contra. There was some epic music there. I was going to say the music in this game, I guess, is very iconic because we do our normal, guess the game next week thing, and this was the fastest anybody's ever got it. They got it just like that. I mean, it was instant.
And you even play.
And I even picked
Yeah, you did the snowfield, right?
Yeah, I picked a song later in the game that maybe people necessarily wouldn't recognize, but whatever, they got it really, really fast. So, this music is iconic, so we'll get into that when we talk about the game, but real quick, Nick, you're on a lot of podcasts. Do you want to say some of the podcasts you're on?
Yeah, sure. The first one I started, and kind of the main one, is the 90s Entertainment Show. We call it the NES Podcast for short. That's my friend Ryan and I. We go over 90s topics. I know you guys gave us a plug last week, so I won't talk about it too long. But each episode's a year from the 90s, and we cover entertainment topics. We'll wrap up the year of music and actors and everything, and then we go into our main topics, which is usually a video game and a movie. So we year by year format, 1990, 1999. So you can check us out on Facebook.com/NES Podcast. And I am a co-host on the Retro Junkie Super Show. I haven't recorded a podcast in a while. I know we're slated to do Comic Zone for the Genesis next, but you can check that out. It's of course it's Facebook.com/the Retro Junkie Super Show. But yeah, thanks again for having me on. By the way, love the show.
Yeah.
I love the premise, and it's a very good show. I look forward to hearing it every week. So it's an honor to be on it.
Sweet. I will say the Super Show is pretty stagnant for some reason. Of course, whenever you guys do release an episode, it's a pretty epic episode. There's all these skits, and it takes a lot to put together. So I understand why it takes maybe a month to release a show. But anyway, Justin, you got some history for us?
It is now time for Justin's historical tidbits and trivia.
Oh, am I doing that this week? No, okay.
The name of the segment is Justin's Historical. I can do it. You want me to do it?
No,
let me pull up Wikipedia real quick.
Yeah. All right. So Contra came out in February. Well, the arcade version. So it's obviously a port from the arcade game Contra with some differences in the game. But the arcade came out on February 20th, 1987, and released for the NES in 1988. Now, the interesting thing about this game, and I wanted to kind of touch on it here at the beginning, was the name Contra, and the fact that this game came out in February of 1987. You guys remember what else was kind of going on during that period of time, historically? Okay. All right.
The great Contra resistance of 1987.
Close. You're close. The Iran Contra affair.
Oh, okay, yes.
So
I didn't know it was that
there
early,
is some,
actually.
there is some kind of theories of like, was this game, did it have any relation? Was there any, did they do that was the name because of the content? If you think about the game, it's kind of about a terrorist, although it's aliens set in the year 2633. But, so the one thing about this game is the ending theme was called Sandinista. Well, Sandinista was the name of the rebel group, or the adversaries, not the rebel group, the group that ran the government in Nicaragua, who we were essentially funding to fight. So, who knows? I mean, there is that name of that song. Nobody's ever really said that the Iran Contra affair had any bearing on this game. And Iran Contra kind of came out in November 1986, and this game came out in February of 1987. So it's kind of hard to say that the entire game was based on it, because obviously they should have been working on this game a lot longer.
Unless they just retrofitted all the names of things. Maybe...
yeah, my theory is they retrofitted the song, the Sandinista. That's just too big of a coincidence, that's thrown in there. It's not like that's a popular word that people name songs. But, so that's just a little interesting tidbit of history there of what's going on in the world. And the game, when it was released in Europe, went by a different name. And the idea, or the commonly held theory, was the name was changed because it was seen like the name Contra would be too controversial. Then that's not a play on words.
What is it? What is it in Japan?
In Japan, let's see. Probotector was what it was called in Europe, and Greiser in Australia, and in Japan it was Contora.
Contora.
So it was pretty much Contra. Yeah.
Oh.
In Japan. So anyway, I digress. So it was made by Konami, one of the more famous video game makers. We've already talked about several Konami games. And the arcade version was designed by a guy named Koji Hiroshita. And it was fitted for the NES by Shigeharu Umezaki. I'm pretty good at this. And Shinju Kitamoto.
That's my favorite part. My favorite part of the show is hearing you pronounce those names.
Yeah. So they were the directors and designers that brought it into the NES. And Shigeru Umezaki, there's more on him out there. He went on to do a lot more games, and even has made some games for the Wii, like Wario Land with the Shaken Dimension. And he was also the executive producer for Castlevania on NES, or not on NES. I'm sorry, for the Nintendo 64 version. Yeah. Yeah. Big difference there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, yeah. Anyway, so this game also, I wanted to say that this game kind of had a feel like the game of last week. We talked about Metroid. They kind of have similarities in kind of the way the game looks. But, anyway, just my...
They also obviously took something from the movie Alien as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, the bad guys look almost identical, especially the boss of, I guess, the waterfall level where you climb to the top. It looks exactly like one of the aliens.
Yeah, then you got the mashup of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger as the characters in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. So, also, this game was, one of the first that would actually use both the traditional side view to scroll either vertically or horizontally, as well as 3D view stages. So that was pretty cool. And one thing that everybody knows when you talk about Contra is the Contra Code. And everybody probably a lot of people have beaten this game using the Contra Code at least once. And the Contra Code is kind of an interesting story. The code was actually not originally made for Contra. The code was, it's also known as the Konami Code, if anybody knows that, because it's been used in several Konami games, not just Contra. And it was first used in 1986 for a game called Gradius that was released in Japan and became popular in North America because of Contra. And the code was created by a guy named Kazuhisa Hashimoto, who was developing the home port of the arcade game Gradius, and he found the game was too difficult himself to beat during testing, so he created this cheat code that would give him like a full set of power-ups and would help him beat the game. Well, when they went to make the game, he forgot to remove it, and it got released in Gradius, and it was hence discovered. And then it was put in several other Konami games. So that's the history of that code, that famous Contra Code. The music, you talked about the music. A couple of composers named Hidenori Maezawa and
I bet that one was hard.
Saida. Yeah. They were the developers or the composers of the music, so you have them to thank. They also were involved in the music for games like Blades of Steel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, hang on. Is this? I'm going to try this one too. Okay, just because I feel like I got a good Japanese. It's my second language and all. But anyways, so are we talking about a Mr. Hidenori Maezawa?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what other game he did?
Blades of Steel?
We've already talked about this game.
Oh,
He did this game we've already talked about. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. I like this guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, because he made awesome music. Yeah. Both Contra and Ninja Turtles. I love the music for both those games.
Yeah.
So,
hey, something real cool about the Konami Code. I just want to throw in there. Have you guys seen that movie Wreck-It Ralph yet?
Yeah,
I have.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I missed it the first time I watched it, but yeah, when he goes into this secret room or something, there's a Nintendo controller on the door, and he actually punches in the Konami Code if you watch closely. So, I thought that was cool.
Nice.
I've seen the movie and I didn't notice that, but I did read that about it. So, just a little bit more about the history of the reception of the game. It's obviously one of the most famous, highest selling, best rated games for the NES. Very popular. Although I did look up the Nintendo Power Awards for all the years surrounding this, 1988, 1989, even 1990. It was not nominated for anything, which was surprising to me. That it received 0 nominations.
I'm starting to get the feeling that Nintendo Power didn't know what they were doing.
Well, yeah. Well, I think Nintendo Power is also stacking the deck a little bit, because if you look at the games that won, and I'm not knocking these games because they are some of my favorite games, but like Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Bros. 3 took home a lot of awards. So, not calling conspiracy, but,
It is called
saying.
Nintendo Power.
Right.
So,
So, it was voted number 1 by the gaming website IGN.com as being the toughest game to beat.
really?
Nintendo, Nick scoffs at that.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny because there's so many Nintendo games I can't come close to beating. I guess this is where I played this one so many times in my life. But I can't beat Castlevania, I can't beat Ninja Gaiden, but I can beat Contra. So it's just funny to me.
And Nintendo Power ranked Contra as the 7th best NES video game, calling it one of the best multiplayer games. Which is weird that Nintendo Power did that, but yet failed to nominate it for anything back when the game was released. Also, Game Raider ranked it 19th best, and Game Informer 13th. So, and also Red Falcon was 76th on the top 100 video games villains in 2010.
Wow.
So
I'm
that
starting to
pretty much
starting to
wraps it up.
feel I'm starting to feel a little bit of pressure to do a good episode this time. Do we want to rewind this and start over?
Yeah.
Just
that
kick
intro.
me off the show. It might help a little bit too.
So yeah, this pretty much wraps it up with history. There's a lot of history out there on it. I don't want to take up too much time because I know we want to talk a lot about the game.
Aye, it's time for Michael's quest to find the cart.
Hey guys, this is Rob from the Retro Junkies, and I just wanted to say, first of all, that I love the show. I love the game that you guys are covering this week, Contra. I have a kind of a very special memory associated with that game. As a matter of fact, I didn't have this as a kid, but a buddy of mine did. When I was about 5 or 6 or so, my mom, she would work in the evenings and stuff, and one of our neighbors would actually babysit us. And my neighbor had 2 kids that were around my age at the time, Scott, and I can't remember the sister's name. But anyways, Scott had an incredibly large NES library. He had so many games, probably at least triple the games that I had. And I got exposed to a lot of franchises for the first time, like Mega Man, Metroid, Zelda, Life Force, Ninja Gaiden. I'd never heard of these franchises until I was at Scott's house. So pretty much every day after school, we go to my friend Scott's house until my mom would pick us up at 5. And we would just play the Nintendo all the time. You know, it was either the Nintendo or the Game Boy. That was his 2 favorite systems. And I remember the first time I played Contra, and I remember loving it so much. As a matter of fact, we beat it together. And I remember we loved the game so much that we'd actually pretend that we would go out in the backyard and we'd pretend to be the Contra characters. You know, I'd be the dark blue-haired guy, and then my buddy Scott would be the blonde guy. You know, and of course they were like super buff, and we pretend we were too, and nothing could kill us. So not only did we beat the game together, we would kind of make up our own games associated with it. And then I remember loving the game so much, I asked Scott on a Friday night, and I'd been going over Scott's house for probably about 2 years. And I asked him, I said, hey, can I borrow Contra? I just want to, you know, play it over the weekend because I knew it was going to be kind of a boring weekend coming up. And he said, sure. And I went to borrow it. I played it all weekend, loved it. And then I went to go bring it back on the following Monday, and he was gone. I found out, you know, the entire house was almost empty. And I knocked and knocked and knocked, and no one answered the door. So he had moved away. And I had his cart, his Contra cart, and it even had his name. His last name was Vanneman. I had it for years and years. But for some reason, I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the way, I lost the cart. But I'm just so happy that I got to hold on to it for so long. Scott was a very, very close friend of mine when I was a kid. And I've not talked to him to this day, so I wonder if you're out there. So Scott, if you're listening, still had your cart, buddy. Well, at least I had it till about a year ago. All right. Well, anyways, enjoy the show, guys. Enjoy the game, and keep up the great work.
Mike, were you able to find this game, or did you have this game, or do you have a story about finding it?
I've got the same boring old I've had it since I was a kid, but I do have a story because this is when I remember how I got it. So I was, let's see, I would go, there was a place I live in Loudon, which is a little podunk place in Tennessee, but we had a video rental store called Pick-a-Flick.
We just lost all the Loudon listeners.
Hey, they know. Do we really have any Loudon listeners? Our friends don't listen to this, remember?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, so
yeah,
we had a place called Pick-a-Flick. It was a video rental place, and they had video games and whatnot. Well, I would rent this game probably, I don't know, once a week, sometimes twice a week in the summer. I would have this game out all the time. And eventually, when they started to phase out the NES and move in better stuff like N64 and PlayStation, of course, I had also kind of moved on. I had my Genesis at that time, but they went to sell it, and I went in and I was just kind of, looking around, and the guy who worked there, he had seen me so much that he said, "Hey, I went to put out the NES games, but I kept this one back here because next time you came by, I was going to ask and see if you wanted to buy it before, and just in case somebody else wanted to come buy it." So he had held it back so that nobody else would buy it, just in case I wanted to buy it, and that's when I bought it. So
awesome. Yeah. I know that guy. He was a nice guy.
He was a really nice guy.
You remember like the cardboard cutouts for movies and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be in the store. He gave me a couple over the years that I wanted. But he was a cool guy.
I love the rental stories because like things like that, you probably rented that game and probably paid more than that game actually cost,
Yeah.
and then you're buying it from him as well. I did the same thing, but I just think that's funny.
Yeah, it is fun. He always remembered me as my number. Like I had a really easy number because you had like numbers to rent from,
Mm-hmm.
and mine was 2222. So because I had a really simple number, so every time I'd come in, he'd be like, "Hey, 2222." So
you know what else I miss about the video game rentals in general. Remember like the plastic cases? I just like those plastic cases that they'd come in.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I have a few of those that I use to protect my games now.
Yeah, they're awesome. I ended up buying some too. But it's a cool story because that's reminiscent of our childhood there, and obviously the rental. Well, I guess the GameFly now, but there's not a whole lot. There's no more really rental places to go rent games.
Oh, that's a shame too. I would totally rent some. I mean, if they had like an NES rental store or something, I would go rent some NES games. Save me from having to buy them for every show.
Sounds like a good business startup.
Yeah, wait, maybe I shouldn't have said that. One of our listeners is going to do this and steal all the glory. All right, did you guys find the game?
Cool story.
Or do you want to go ahead and talk about the game?
Well, we could talk about my boring story. You always tell me that my stories are boring.
Well, they are.
I want to hear it. I like your stories, Justin.
I don't have a story.
Did you get it for Christmas?
I don't even know. I don't know how I got it. Maybe for Christmas. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I got it.
Good story.
It disappeared one day.
This is why we don't ask you. This is why it's Michael. See, this is how I would be with history too. You asked me to do history, I'm like, came out in 1980 something. It's about two dudes fighting aliens. I don't know.
Yeah.
We each have our own thing, That's why we do it this way. Nick, do you have a story?
Yeah, I kind of do. I got this game for Christmas when I was a kid, and it kills me because it was brand new. And, first thing I always did with my old Nintendo games was throw away the cardboard. I don't, being a kid and looking back, that kind of hurts. But and I've, the other podcast we talk about how I got rid of all my games growing up. So I recently got this game about a year ago. Bought it off of Nick DeMarco on his video game vault. So finally got the card. I had Super Contra from many years ago, and I wanted to get the original. So he sold me that for a fairly good price. And he cleans his games up real nice, so I guess I'm kind of doing.
Yeah, I've bought a few games off of him, and in fact, that's funny you bring him up because he's our announcer on this show.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we've already heard him a couple times.
Perfect, and I just advertised the store, Nick D's Video Game Vault.
Yeah, go check out his store. I think it's on Facebook, Nick D's Video Game Vault.
Yep.
Awesome.
Ernie Burr, they're getting ready to do this. Gushkin and a mushkin.
All right, let's talk about the game.
Yeah,
let's talk about the game. Yeah. I've got a manual.
Sweet.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right.
Looking forward to this.
Only the strong survive.
Oh boy.
In 1957, a large object from outer space crashed into Earth's Amazon basin. near ruins of the lost Mayan civilization. Scientists worldwide heralded the incident as a trivial cosmic occurrence, and thus the collision was soon forgotten. Fast forward 30 years later, 1987, for those that don't know math. Rumors of an evil... That was actually in the manual. No, I'm just kidding. Rumors of an evil force have swept into the Pentagon's front office, and tales from frightened villagers of a hideous being with an army of alien henchmen are sending chills down the spines of the top military base. Alright, there's a lot more here. I'm going to fast forward. Okay, America, looking for America's most ruthless soldiers for a special force of elite commandos, blah, blah, blah. Congratulations, pal. You're one of the chosen, but before you take pride in being the best, be warned. You're about to come face to face against Red Falcon, the cruelest life form in the galaxy. He arrived on Earth 30 years ago. That's 6 months' time in an alien's life. for anyone curious.
I always wondered about that. I wondered about that conversion rate. I'm glad that's cleared up.
Yeah,
now.
So he's young. You know. The thing is, if you don't beat him, and you have to wait another 30 years, you're like 60 now, and then he's only a year old. All right. I lost my place. Needless to say, playing hero won't be easy, but you have no choice. You must be a hero, because if you fail, life as we know it will cease to exist, and the vile Red Falcon will rule forever. If you succeed, well, it doesn't matter, because I doubt you will. That's my favorite part.
Awesome.
Konami was pretty confident that this game was too hard for people.
That's why they put it in the code, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like the plot from this one, the North American version and the Japanese version. The Japanese version actually sets the game in year 2633, where the NES version is more present. And also the American story is like they changed the name from they changed the identity of Red Falcon was a terrorist organization in the Japanese version, and it's an alien entity.
Oh. Huh. I will say that it makes more sense that the game is in 1980 something based on the characters looking like they do in the American version. But I wonder, I think we lost the ability to wear shirts in 26 something, right? See, because in 1980 something, they're just... Yeah, I know, I understand. I mean, that's why I most of the time don't wear shirts. I just put one on just now for this show.
Yeah. And man, if I was going after aliens like that, the first thing I do is want to take off my shirt. You gotta get pumped, you know.
You've also got you've got a problem when you put a shirt on like that. You yawn, it's just gonna shred. It's just gonna go off.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, see, I'm pretty sure that they started with shirts, flexed their muscles a little too hard, and had to turn them into headbands.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the internet. It's so interesting. Like, not the Japanese version, the year 2633. Like, what about that year? It just seems like a random number. Usually, like when you talk about futuristic games that were made in the 80s, it's like 2004. This is 2633. They want to really make sure they're way out there.
Or it could be. Or a lot of times they put the X's on there, like 20XX.
Yeah.
Like we don't want to single it down. We don't really know when this happened.
Yeah. But it's like 2630. If I had a nickel for every game that was made for about the 27th century.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you'd have a nickel.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to also mention that the heroes, Lance,
Bean,
codename Scorpion,
yeah,
Lance Scorpion Bean, and Bill Mad Dog something. I lost that.
Riser,
yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah. So Lance, being an elite commando in the Special Forces, takes a special breed of hero. You need the cunning of a lion, the spirit of a Viking warrior, and the intelligence of a modern-day field general. So that's who Lance is. Oh, wait, it's for both of them. Only after these qualities are soaked into your soul can you stand a ghost of a chance at saving humanity from the inhumane Red Falcon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Inhumane.
Yeah. Well, he's alien, so it's understandable.
Yeah.
It's a good description.
Yeah.
That's
So,
pretty much it
I
for
like
the manual. It's
the-
kind of a... After that, it gets kind of boring. Just tells you how to play the game.
I like to mention too that Contra is involved. Its genre is considered run and gun, shoot 'em up. I like that. Not just shoot 'em up, but run and gun.
I mean, that's what it is. You run and you gun.
That's right.
It's,
All right,
it's mindless fun.
really,
I love it.
Let's really get into this. All right, we've talked about the manual. We're just kind of making jokes here and there. Let's really get into this. This is probably, I know this is probably Nick's favorite NES game. This is definitely probably in my top 3. I don't know if I can narrow down a number 1, but this is always in my mind as maybe this is my number 1. Every time I play it, I'm like, oh wait, maybe this is my number 1.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best, and you can't argue with that. But I think we really haven't introduced Nick properly, I don't think. I think we need to introduce him and say, this is the reason he's on this show, is he's one of the few people we know that beat the game without the cheat code. So let's let Nick talk about that.
Yeah, Contra's definitely, I'd probably say it's my favorite game of all time, regardless of system, disc, cartridge. Yeah, I was on an episode of the Cartridge Freaks, which is Retro Junkies Network, and Contra's my number 1. And it's funny, I've been podcasting for a year and a half, and I've never talked about Contra on an episode, so this is real exciting for me, being my favorite game and all. But yeah, I haven't. The first time I beat it without cheat codes was just a few months ago. I posted, I got to the, to Red Falcon or whatever, and I paused the game and made my 4-year-old son record it on the TV, just to show that I did it. and I was on my last continue and had like 2 lives left, and I was using just the standard gun, and I beat it that way. But I kind of jumped up like a little girl. You can hear me on that video, but it was pretty exciting. I've been trying to do that forever, And the only reason that made me want to do it again is because when I got the game, I put in the 30 lives code, and I beat it, and I thought, I bet I only died 7 or 8 times. I didn't even think about it. So, but growing up, I probably beat this game once a week, using the 30 lives code, of course. And I don't know, there was something about the game. It was just easy to pop in and play, and everything about it was so smooth. The animations were great, and I love that you could shoot diagonal. I love Mega Man, but he could only shoot in one direction. With Contra, with the upper levels and the lower levels of the platforms, and shooting diagonal was just, it wasn't necessary. And of course, when you got that spreader gun, which was my favorite gun, I don't know why you want to use anything else, but you can just annihilate everything in the screen. One of my strategies is just to never lay off the fire. I just shoot up and down, left and right the whole way I'm going around, just to kind of take out anything in front of me that I don't see. But yeah, it's amazing, these little strategies I've developed. I didn't even really read any strategy guides. I just kind of did it on my own, just trial and error. But yeah, definitely my favorite game. I love Super Contra 2. I think what makes Super Contra a little worse to me are the like those isometric levels. I thought they should have stuck with the 3D levels, like the base 1 and base 2 in the regular Contra. So I think Super Contra doesn't quite get it as well as this one does, but definitely a game. But I think it's better than the arcade version. Have you guys played the arcade version of this?
I have not.
Yeah. No, I haven't either.
If you get a chance, I think it's on Xbox Live and PSN. It's real sluggish. I don't know. I've usually the arcade version is better than the Nintendo port, but the Nintendo port's 10 times better than the arcade version. So I have beat that with no continues either. It's a little different, but it kind of plays. It feels a little, like I said, a little sluggish, but it's the same game in essence. But yeah, Contra, it's definitely my favorite game. I'm at the point now where, like I said, last night was the first time I beat it with no continues. I actually had 5 lives left going into the last boss, where you keep getting lives for you get extra lives as you get more points. But that was the first time I ever did that, and I think my next goal is just to beat it without dying. So that's going to take a while, but it's kind of nice. I can set that standard and keep having fun. I kind of wonder if it's still going to be my favorite game of all time if I beat it without dying. So we'll
hey, I do have a new challenge for you when we get to our retrofitted trophies. So.
Okay. Sweet.
It won't. Even after you beat it without dying, you'll still have another little challenge. I got prepared.
Beat it without using the spreader gun. That'll be my
I don't
next
know.
challenge.
I don't want to reveal my hand yet. It's a trophy. We gotta wait.
Okay. All right.
No, see, I always use the code to beat it, and I don't know if that's just because I don't know if it handicapped me for so long, just realizing I've got plenty of lives left. But I've recently started and kind of I guess been motivated by you and seeing that you beat it without the code, and I thought, well, maybe I need to try to see if I can beat it without the code because I just always use the code just because I felt like I needed it.
And trust me, I'm no professional video game player. I mean, when I play games like Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden, like I mentioned, I mean, I'm just awful at those games. So I mean, it's just one of those things where I just kept playing it and getting better at it. I mean, anyone can do it if I can do it.
Well, the listeners can't see this, but you are wearing some pretty professional looking headphones.
Yeah,
you look like a Call of Duty guy or something.
I take his stuff seriously.
Yeah. Do you use those when you play Contra?
Yeah. Yeah. I plug it right. I have my old CRT TV has a headphone jack in it. I actually do plug them in, crank the music up.
Nice. But what I was going to say is I did try this week to beat it without the code. And what I realized is that I can make it... I made it to the snowfield, right? And I'd always die at the snowfield. I couldn't make it past the snowfield for some reason. I think it's those giant tank things with the spikes. But I can get there without losing a life. And then I'll lose all of them on the snow stage.
What you do is, when those come on the screen's kind of scrolling. Right when always run all the way to the left and keep running to the left until the screen stops scrolling. And then immediately you barely hit the right button to where you're just on the edge of the screen. And that gun will never shoot you. You just start pounding on it. And eventually it'll get so close. Even if you have the default gun, it'll get so close right when it's about to hit you, it blows up. You just keep pounding on that gun. So that's how you can do that and don't die. Of course, if you had the spreader gun at that time, which, if you haven't died yet, I'm assuming you still do. If you use that strategy, it blows up, a few steps ahead of you. So yeah, I mean, it looks like the bullets are going to hit you, and it literally like scrapes your toe on the screen, and it never kills you. So that's how I don't even know how I figured that out. I just tried it one day, that worked.
Well, I did watch the speed run, and I've got a few strategies from that. I don't know if... I'm sure listeners out there may have watched speed runs before, but there's a speed run out there that we watched before we started doing this show where a guy beat it in like 13 minutes or 14 minutes. And the biggest strategy I noticed that him doing, and it has to do with the spread gun, is you just run all the way up to where you're just like inches away from whatever the bad guy is, and just lay on him with the spread gun. And I guess all of those bullets hit the bad guy at the same time, and they die within about 4 or 5 seconds. So think about that next time you play it. Run all the way up and get face to face with these bad guys and use the spread gun. It would make me nervous to do that, but
just bull rush.
Yeah, just bull rush. Speaking of the spread gun, I did ask a question. I posed a question to the listeners saying, what is your favorite weapon upgrade? And apparently it was a stupid question because like 10 people said spread gun and nobody said anything else.
Well,
so
there you go.
It was pointless for me to have asked that question. Oh well.
There's almost a strategy in the game of not accidentally grabbing another gun because that just ruins it too.
Yep.
Yeah. You got to be careful not to override the best weapon in the game.
Yeah. So I've even memorized like when those little blimps come flying in, like what's in them. So like when there's 2 of them coming, I know one's like the rapid fire, which I want to get with the spreader gun. The other one might be like the laser, so I only shoot the one. So I don't want to accidentally get the other.
I hate the laser.
Yeah.
I hate the laser. It's my least favorite. Maybe that's what I should have asked. What's everybody's least favorite?
Yeah, there you go. Laser. You just answered.
Yeah, laser.
Yeah, I guess. That's probably everybody's least favorite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Who's your favorite boss? Who's your favorite boss? You had to pick a boss. Not just because it's easy to beat, but because it's cool. Who'd you pick?
To be honest, I think even though it is easy to beat, I like the first boss. Just that big wall where you have to blow open the door and go in. I just think it's cool. Also like I don't know, I really like the alien guy too, in 3. He's got the wiggly arms. You have to shoot him in the face. I like that guy too.
I always thought that was a female character for some reason. It reminded me of like a Medusa. I don't know.
It could be female.
I don't know.
Those could instead of wiggly arms, those could be her eggs or something.
I just know when I fight it, I'm always getting mad at her. I can't kill this thing. But I think my favorite boss, just because it took me forever to figure out the strategy, was the second base level. It's very similar to the first base level, but you got those beginning of the bosses kind of in stages. You got the guns shooting down at you, and there's like little red flashing things, and then these flying looking monkeys are coming around those platforms. I don't know what those things are, but I had a hard time beating that without dying for a long time, and I don't know the challenge of that and knowing what order to shoot certain things in, because if you shoot all those red flashing things first, the main boss on the top comes out, so you got to make sure you leave those for last. Shoot all the guns down and all the flying monkeys. And I don't know. I always kind of like that one. It still challenges me. I'll every now and again I'll die on that one, and it just ruins it because if you don't have the spreader again on that one, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Did the manual have like a list of bosses? Did they name them?
No, it didn't. It didn't, unfortunately. It had a list of the missions, but it didn't have a list of the bosses.
Yeah. I was reading this one thing last night about it, and I guess this guy just named them himself. He kind of came up with some pretty funny names. Some of them, like one that stuck out to the boss to the ice field, the crystal chandelier of death.
Yeah,
it's funny.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I also like the big behemoth guy that jumps up and down. He's got the spikes on his shoulders. He's pretty cool. You know that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the the way the game is set up too. Kind of mentioned in history is how it's kind of that dark feel Metroid had. And a lot of things. This game, I mean, as good as the game is, this game kind of screams 80s. Not just the characters from like the main characters, because obviously they're very 80s. Big muscle-bound guys, look like Arnold and Sly. Yeah. But just like the game itself, like the alien, it's just very 80s.
It is, but that's part of its charm nowadays, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Something else that's really cool about this game. Oh man, we just keep interrupting each other.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of very 80s, I found a poster online, and maybe I can put it up on Facebook so the listeners can see it. It's a poster advertising the arcade game.
It's got the
Amazon
says lady.
Contra. Yeah. With the lady that's like it's a very 80s poster. Like the lady's got like the scandalous military outfit on, and Rambo's head bandana with a perm, basically, in her hair. Very 80s. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. I've seen it. I think it's on the Wikipedia page. It's really funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's co-op, and it's one of the best co-op games out there for the NES. There's no friendly fire. You can just these guys actually know how to shoot around each other.
Mm-hmm.
Something that always bothered me about NES games is when there's friendly fire and it's on a 2D plane. I'm thinking, these guys probably aren't actually in the 2D plane. They're not running right behind each other. I mean, let's use our imaginations.
Doesn't seem like
here
a good strategy.
Let's use our imaginations. They're probably shooting around each other, running beside each other. Yeah. This game does that.
It's not my favorite two-player game, but it's definitely up there.
Nick, can you weigh in?
I haven't played Contra 2-player in a long time. Do you know if they share continues or share lives or anything?
I think you do share continues.
Oh, see, that
you do not share lives. You have separate the little medals, I guess.
Yeah.
You have separate of those, but you do share continues.
Because I probably haven't played this co-op since me and my brother played it when I was a kid. But I haven't even tried.
Contra, though, you need to bring your buddy over every week and get good together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a more team building game. All right, Nick kind of touched on it earlier. But the animations in this game, it's very smooth. Like the running animation, it's almost like they were able to add an extra frame or two, just to make it look smooth. The graphics are good. I like the graphics. I like the shirtless guys.
Well, yeah, it's the best part of the game. But I think the graphics were probably one of the best in the NES era. I mean, to be honest, because I like the feel of it, like the almost alien feel, and it looks like they spent a lot of time taking this game from the arcade to the NES and trying to hold true to a lot of things. It's a very similar game to the arcade, but and going back on what Nick said earlier, it's similar, but it's better in my opinion.
Yeah, I even think the graphics are actually a little bit better. I mean, I know it's unusual to say that because the graphics are obviously there's a higher fidelity to the arcade graphics. I'm looking at two pictures right now. The graphics on the arcade, the sprites are bigger and there's more colors and all this good stuff. But I just like the graphics on the NES version better. I think they're better suited.
Yeah.
So, something that bothered me about the arcade version, I think a lot of it's just because I played the Nintendo so much, was this is so stupid. When they jump, the Nintendo version, he kind of gets like in a little ball and does that flip. In the arcade version, when they flip, it's like I don't know, it looks like that gymnast doing it. They kind of keep their body straight, and I don't know, something about that always bothered me. I'm like, that's not how they're supposed to flip.
Yeah, see, even the flipping animation is way better on the NES.
Mm.
They just really took their time, and I think it shows. I mean, it's not just like a straight port. And they did a port a lot better. A game we talked about earlier in like episode 3 or something, Double Dragon, where they ported that from arcade and just completely left out co-op because they couldn't figure out how to do it. That was for better or for worse, Double Dragon was a great game, but it was kind of poorly ported from the arcade. This was actually, I feel like it was almost enhanced from the arcade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you run into a lot of games, a lot that are poorly ported, and so it's refreshing to have one that's well ported. That's not just like you get into this kind of world, I think, where when they see the success of an arcade game and they get a little too greedy and they're like, oh, we gotta get this ported to the home version and we'll make a lot of money, and they don't take the time to make it good for the home game,
Contra is an exception to that rule, for sure.
To go back to the animations, I'm sorry. I played this game on another device one time, emulation. And, sometimes when you play... I know, am I allowed to say that on here?
Yeah, that's cool.
I own the cart, so it's not illegal. So when I did it, some of the animations kind of fell, and like when you try to jump over bullets or dodge them, you couldn't see them real well. So it made me really appreciate the animations a whole lot more. And because a lot of times, like you talked about Double Dragon, they had issues with keeping more than 2 enemies on the screen at one time. And it was really nice to see Contra have that many enemies and that many bullets flying at you, and still be able to keep the the frame rate or whatever to actually stable when you can actually see everything. And I thought that was real impressive. Because even games like Mega Man, it'll sometimes like flash in and out. Some awesome games like that we don't even we kind of take it for granted. But I thought Contra did an awesome job of just keeping everything on the screen so you could see it and dodge it. And I don't know. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's a lot coming at you on Contra, and it really doesn't ever flicker. So I don't know. I mean, it's quite the accomplishment. This game came out, what, 87? Is that what we said?
The arcade was February of 1987, and the NES version was February of 1988.
Okay, 88. So it was still in the early stages of figuring out, the system. I mean,
oh yeah.
The games that really harnessed the system didn't start coming out until like 90, 91. So I mean, this game it's Konami just in general. I mean, not to branch out, but I mean, Konami just always did this, and Contra is a good example of that. They always really took control and really put out a quality game.
Yeah, and the awesome thing about like Konami and Capcom is that when you saw that box, I know Konami, they had like that silver box and the artwork. You always knew that's going to be a good game, and no doubt with Contra. I think anyone could just pick up one of those games and know that it was going to be quality.
Right. Yep. And you got to train your parents to look out for that. As a kid, it's like, okay, Mom, Dad, it's the silver one with the two guys on it. Kind of look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, or just any silver box. Don't give me the one that says Border Bound on it. Whatever you do. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So what was your favorite level on the game?
My favorite level was probably the. I don't know. Probably the last one. Whenever I could make it there.
Okay. Red Falcon.
Yep.
Whatever his level, their level is. Aliens
the hideout.
lair.
Yeah.
The aliens lair. Yeah.
Yeah. I like. I like the base levels at the beginning. I do. Just,
The 3D ones.
Yeah. I like those.
I think my favorite is probably the waterfall. And then the big thing about Contra, I think they really spent a lot of good time on level design, because each level, most platformers or running guns are just left to right, and you're done with the stage. But you got the first stage is kind of set up that way, and the base, like I said, it's like a 3D view, and then the waterfall, you're going straight up, which is not really common, with Nintendo games at the time. But I really like that level. I like really love the music, and you got to really watch out for those rocks coming down, and the boss, like you said, is really cool. And I just love the fact that you're shooting up at a boss. You did that in the level before that, but it was just kind of cool. You blow it up, and then you're going into another base. And I don't know, something about that level design to me was my favorite. And strategy on that one was just point up and shoot as much as you can. I really don't have any specific on that one to get through, but yeah, I just thought that was a cool level.
That is that's a good point you bring up too about Contra. Is it varies, and it keeps it fresh. Each level, you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. So that's something. That's another something cool. Nice, good level design. Can we talk about the music a little bit?
Please.
Great music. The listeners are hearing some of it now. If they can, because they're probably ignoring everything we say at this point. Just listening to the tunes.
They should.
Just listening to the tunes. But I really like the Snowfield music because I used it last week. That's probably one of my favorite ones. Also, just like all the little short songs or whatever they put in there. Like when you beat a level, it's like, and at the beginning of the game, it's like diddle 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 doo or whatever it is. And then at the beginning of the game, it's got that, I don't even know what you would call it. It's just, just don't listen to me.
That was good.
No, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. We'll use this in the show somehow. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Did I even come close? I think I came close. I played it last night.
I got it. I listened. It sounded good.
Okay.
Yeah, I recognize it.
You know what I mean, though, right? I like the little songs, almost like those little ditties, better than the main music. But I don't know. It's all good. You guys have any opinions?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's one of the best as far as music goes. I think it's one of those games that you can pull up on YouTube and just listen to the music.
If you're a super nerd.
I'm a super nerd then.
How dare you? How dare you?
Too. No, I am too. I do it. I do the same. I put them on my iPod even. Speaking of, real quick, the guy that does all of our music, you can download it. If you go on YouTube, the Wee Guy, I think it's the Wee Guy 309. If you go on YouTube and you find the tracks that you like, he does all the NES tracks. You can actually download them and put them on your iPod. He has a link for all the downloads. So, by the way, if you ever want to be a super nerd like us and download and listen to these songs like in your car, then Go on his YouTube channel and find some NES tunes. Download them. You can listen to them. Anyways, sorry, tangent.
Listen to the Contra song the Contra music as you're working out.
Yeah.
You can look like Mad Dog and Scorpion. Yeah.
You think you squat? I squat like 50 pounds, and then I put Contra on. It's like 500 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really squat on the 50 pounds. I mean, come on. Have you seen me? No way, you haven't. You're just listening. Sorry.
Interesting. I do have something to ask about this game. In the opening screen, and you've got the two guys there, and I don't know which one's Mad Dog.
The blonde.
Mad Dog what is in Mad Dog's mouth?
It's a cigarette. It's supposed to be a cigarette.
It's green.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, but it's supposed to be a cigarette. I've always thought it was a cigarette.
I mean, that's what you would assume.
Or maybe a cigar.
Still green, though. I don't know. It's just interesting.
He just made it out of the tobacco leaf, and he hadn't let it dry out. That's how tough he is.
Or he just blew up some alien and it's like some green alien blood on it and smoked it anyways because he's that cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's very 80s about it.
He dipped it in the blood just so he could have some of the blood on there.
If you're going to be a bad dude in the 80s, you got to smoke, even if you look like you're extremely fit. Yeah,
that's true. They did all smoke.
Imagine trying to do that in today's game. You put a cigarette in the main character's mouth, people would go insane.
Well, they still do it with Metal Gear.
Solid Snake.
He still smokes all the time.
Yeah, but
he's probably the only one.
The rating on that game was also mature.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you think Contra? What if you were retrofitting ratings on these games? What would Contra be?
MA. It would be MA.
You think it'd be MA?
I don't know. Probably T15.
Because of the cigarette.
Yeah, just because of the cigarette. There's also a lot of killing.
Partial nudity.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I guess T for teen. I don't know. That's why they didn't rate games back then. It didn't make sense.
Because we weren't. No, I'm not going to do that. Because we weren't oversensitive about everything.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Back then. But we became super sensitive over the last 30 years. Don't want to get on that tangent.
Okay. Yeah, please don't. Save that for your life in general podcast.
Oh, Two dudes in life. Podcast? I should do a life, just me ranting.
We can do if Nick's down, we can do a three dudes and talk about life.
There you go.
Life lessons with the three dudes.
Yeah.
Sounds like something you'd watch on PBS.
Well, that's where we're going to pitch it. All right. No, anyways, music. We got anything else to say about music? I mean, I don't know. It's really good. Listen to our show and just ignore us talking for a little bit. Choose a point, probably near the beginning. The intro is pretty bad, and then maybe a couple of the spots where we interrupt constantly, and just ignore us. And then just listen to the music. It'll be in the background.
Yeah, you want to talk about my favorite levels music, right?
No. I'm just kidding.
You want to get super. You want to get super nerd? My ringtone for my phone is actually the maze sound. If you can. How you like that?
Nice.
It kicks in.
That's
here.
really your ringtone?
Yep. So yeah. When you call me up, I hear Contra.
Do you want to take that call?
Nah.
Do you need to take that call?
It's Mad Dog. We'll talk.
It was a very convenient time to get a phone call.
Yeah.
Really, it wasn't Mario, was it? He's notorious for calling into our show when we don't want him to.
No, that's my text tone.
Oh, okay.
So.
It'd be fine. We should do that one day. Is have a call-in show, and somehow get it to where Mario doesn't get our number.
We could maybe we could do that. I'll look into it. I'll try to figure it out.
All right, so we're pandering now. Let's get to the trophies.
Oh boy, here comes my favorite part, the retrofitted trophies!
Okay, trophies.
Mm-hmm. You got some cool trophies. You've been telling me all week.
No, I told you this morning that I had some trophies.
Okay, this morning. I've been hearing it all morning.
Okay, all right. Nick's got some trophies too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll give one of mine, then Nick can give one of his, then you can give one of yours. All right. My first one is Aqua Phobia, and that is beating the first stage without touching the water.
Ooh. Okay.
That's because it's something that I constantly tried to do as a kid for some reason.
Well, in most games, you're taught that the water is deadly.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, because most games you can't
don't
swim,
wanna
but apparently this ocean is only waist deep in this game.
Yeah, right.
All right, Nick, you got one?
Yeah, mine's kind of similar. It's called Find a Bridge and Get Over It. Make it across both exploding bridges in the jungle without falling. So.
Without falling in the water? That's good.
Yep.
The flip out, make it through the first level just flipping. Not the 3D, just the 2D version.
Do nothing but
That's
just flip.
Yeah.
Flip out.
Constantly flip.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, my next one is Last Action Hero. And that's finish the game with only one life left.
Ooh, cool.
Interesting.
Schwarzenegger reference there. That's cool.
Yeah, you caught that? Thank you.
I caught that. So,
you got another one?
yeah, my next one's kind of insulting. It's called Take a coloring book and sit in the corner. And this is when you can't beat Contra with the 30 lives code.
It's when you can't beat Contra with the 30 lives
Yeah.
code.
So just take a coloring book and sit in the corner and just do something better with your time.
Okay, we just lost a few listeners, I think.
That's all right.
Justin, do you have another one?
I'm gonna give. Well, this is not unique, but I'm gonna give the Tom Arnold would be impressed trophy to Nick for beating it in 30 minutes last night.
Oh, yeah. He mentioned it before the show. He played it and beat it in 30 minutes last night. So not quite the 14 of the speed run, but I mean, that's really, really fast. I feel like.
Tom Arnold would be impressed.
Tom Arnold would be impressed. So, yeah. Okay. My next one is called Don't Whiz on the Electric Fence. And that is get electrocuted in the base stage.
This is my last one here. And my last trophy is just called Nick Stevens. And it's beat Contra with 30 lives code and no continues. So there you go. I did that last night.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Sweet.
So you give everybody yourself as a trophy?
Yeah. So if you want to meet, the standard of, what I did.
Well, no, what I'm asking is, like, if anybody out there can do this, are you, like, going to go to their house and, like, wash their dishes or something?
I'll just stand in their cabinet like a trophy. I just won't move. Like a
You
mannequin.
just stand in the cabinet.
Yeah.
Nice, okay. Justin, do you have another?
All right, Mike. No, I don't have it.
Okay.
You
My
finish this out.
My last one is called Nick Stevens, Try This On for Size. And it's beat the game without the Konami code and without picking up any power-ups.
Ooh. Okay.
That means you can't use the spreader again.
All right, that'll be my next challenge. That's gonna be hard.
Yep. It should be hard. That's
All right.
why I designed it.
All right.
How we rating this game?
I think we should give this game an 80s/90s action hero.
Oh gosh.
Not like the actor, because we all know Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone look like, the characters on the box, right? But I mean, like, the characters that somebody was in a movie, right? So give them an 80s/90s action hero rating. Nick, you going?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna give it the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator 2 Terminator award or rating, or whatever you call this, because that's when he was good, and he was on the good side, and he just annihilated everybody. He made it all the way through the movie without dying. At the very end, sacrificed himself and saved John Connor from evil alien or robot. So robot's alien.
Nice.
So I give it that. That's good. Best award you can get.
Nice. Well, I'm going to give it the Die Hard John McClane. Because against all odds, he defeats the terrorist. In this game, I feel like the world is against you. And you also don't have a shirt, which at some point Bruce Willis was only in his wife beater, so.
Yeah. I'm going to give mine, go out here on a limb a bit, the Dalton Award from Roadhouse. This game's like a roundhouse kick to the face. And plus Patrick Swayze is shirtless in this movie quite a bit.
Okay. Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've got a little bit of feedback. And we've got a couple of announcements, award-winning announcements, or game-winning announcements, if you guys got the time. We've got a 5-star rating. Yep, we got a new one this week. It is from the Michael Ironside Assumption. That's that guy's username. It says, love the NES, love the show, can't wait until these guys get to the Ninja Gaiden games. Ninja Gaiden games. Gaiden, whatever. However you want to pronounce it.
Awesome, thank you.
Sweet, yep. Mm-hmm. And then we have a couple of feedbacks from Facebook. Just a couple. They are from our good friends, Jay Jorgensen. He said, I beat the game once using the Contra Code. Still own the cart, but it doesn't work for some reason, which totally bums me out. Man, that kind of bums me out too, Jay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I need to clean that thing or something.
I like it. You need to clean that thing.
Something.
I'll tell you what I use. I use a 50-50 blend of water and rubbing alcohol. And a Q-tip. It seems to work. Anyways. Jeff Upel says, hardest game I ever played on the NES. Still can't beat level 2 after owning the cart for 15 plus years. On a side note, your events show up on my Google Calendar, which I find strange and exhilarating. Yeah, we set up an event on Facebook every time we do a show. And I guess since he said he was going to the event, it shows up on his Google Calendar.
Awesome. It shows up on mine, but I just figured it's because I'm linked into the show on Google Plus. But all right, awesome.
Yeah, now I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you guys because big applause to you all because you all get the word out better than anybody else out there in podcast land.
Oh, well, that's Mike. Yeah. That's Michael.
Well,
applause thanks to Michael. He's very good at the social media stuff.
Yeah, it's excellent. It just puts a lot of the other podcasts, especially mine, to shame how we advertise. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Michael does a great job.
Yeah, great job, Michael.
All right. Jeremy Lockhart says, the thing that I always remember about Contra is my friend beat the entire game without dying. Oh, wow. Without dying, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's your next goal, right? And then my challenge.
That's the Nick Stevens Platinum Trophy I haven't got yet. So.
Oh, okay. And then we've got one from Eric Purcell, or as I like to call him, Eric Purcell. I beat this game multiple times, but only when using the Konami Code. I have yet to beat it without the help. Great game, and I really like the graphics, and the spread gun is the upgrade of choice. Yes, the spread gun is apparently the only upgrade you should even consider.
Yes.
I learned that the hard way. All right, that's the feedback. Now, time to announce the winner of the Name Our Listeners Award, which is going to be a game, a Steam game. We had a lot of good entries, but my favorite and Justin's favorite, and thus the new name of our listeners, was D-Patters. So from now on, as long as we can remember, we will refer to our listeners as D-Patters.
Thank you, D-Patters.
Thank you, D-Patters.
Who put that one in? Who put that one in again?
It was some tweet person, and I'm gonna have to look it up.
Okay, all right. He just won the contest. No need to talk about it.
No, hang on. I'm going to talk about it. I promise. I should have looked this up before we started the show. That would have been the smart thing to do. But I can't always be on top of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you're looking that up,
it was the Painted Gamer on Twitter. Gamer. He is at
Congratulations.
Lumps the Clown. LUMPZ the Clown. That is his.
Is it? Maybe he's a clown, part-time clown.
Maybe, I don't know. So, D-Patter, Lumps the Clown. You have won a game. If you will email us at nesdudes@outlook.com, then I will send you a list of games that you can pick from, and it's a code for Steam, so you can pick from that.
So you can check us out, nesdudes.com. That's our website. We got little tidbits about the game that you can check out there. You can also follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Check out Nick on the NES Podcast. Great podcast over there. Nick, do you want to shout yourself out? Anything else?
No, you did a good job. Thank you. Yeah, NES Podcast, facebook.com/NES Podcast. Check it out.
You writing any books or designing any games, or you got anything else you want to shout out?
I'm just trying to keep my 4-year-old son quiet through this podcast. You might see me kind of turn around and move my hands. He's over here trying to talk to me. So.
Oh, it's okay. We can talk to him.
Every time he comes over here and sees the video, he kind of walks away. So.
All right, well, let's kind of wrap it up, I guess. I will say real quick, we've done a lot of really good games lately, so we may be about to hit a rough patch. But I will say that our D-Patters are supporting us. I put up a post on Facebook, said, "Will you guys support us through the terrible games?" So I have a feeling we're about to hit a rough patch of some really bad games, and I think the D-Patters are excited. So. That's good. Here comes the sounds. Excited. Here comes the sounds for the next game. Thank you, Nick, for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Bye, everybody.